What's going on, guys? Tom Costanza here, back with another YouTube video, posting videos every single Sunday morning. Today we're going to be putting my muscles to the test. We're going to see if I can make a New York style cheesecake without a mixer. All these recipes call for a mixer. I'm gonna see if I can use manpower or low manpower to see if we can make a cheesecake. Let's get right into the video. All right, getting right into things. The first thing that we're gonna make sure of is that we have all of our ingredients. So I'm pretty sure that I have everything completely planned out here. The most important thing, it calls for room temperature cream cheese and it calls for room temperature eggs. So if you're gonna be planning this, you wanna plan ahead. That way your cream cheese and your eggs come to room temperature. Now, I went to the grocery store today and I couldn't find cornstarch. The recipe calls for cornstarch, but I looked up what a good substitute is for cornstarch and I found that tapioca flour or tapioca starch is a good substitute. It's just 2 parts to 1 part. So we'll get into that once we get further into the recipe when I use this, but tapioca flour, good substitute for cornstarch. Step 1 is going to be to make the crust of the cheesecake. So we have our oven preheated to 350 degrees. We're gonna move all of these ingredients to the side besides our 3 simple ingredients for the crust, and we're gonna see how that goes. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we have all of our supplies and all of our utensils that we need. So the recipe calls for 1.5 cups or 150 grams of graham crackers. It also calls for 4.5 tablespoons of unsalted butter that's melted. So we're gonna cut this up and melt it in just a second. It also calls for 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. So let's measure our graham crackers first. Here we go, 150 grams. So now we're gonna put these 150 grams of graham crackers into this Ziploc bag and then we're going to crush them. I would say if you have a food processor, just use the food processor. I'm just gonna do everything manual because that's the best way to do it. Also, shout out to my girlfriend Chloe for getting me this rolling pin for my birthday. Thing is sick. Okay, that is all done. Thank you for your service. Okay, now we have 150 grams of graham cracker. We need 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then it calls for 4.5 teaspoons of butter. Okay, so we have our sugar and our graham cracker in our bowl. We're gonna switch to this camera, see if this camera works. We have our 4.5 cups of butter. What we're gonna do is kind of mix this until it's somewhat packable. Just wanna be able to squeeze it with your hand and it should just stick together. You can tell it looks pretty good. It holds its shape. That's exactly how we want it. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour it into our actual cheesecake bowl, half at a time. Start with a little bit there. We'll do the whole thing. Whole thing in, spread it out. You want to find some sort of jar or something like that with a straight edge here and a straight edge here. So we're going to use this beaker cup to kind of press down and into the walls. So it's a combination of pressing down into the bottom and also into the walls. Okay, so I think it looks pretty good there. What we're going to do, now that everything's pressed into the bottom, pressed into the sides, we're gonna put it into the oven at 350 for about 8 to 10 minutes, just so that everything kind of hardens up and sets a little bit, and then we'll take it out in about 8 to 10 minutes. So let's get it into the oven until it's about golden brown. Check back in 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, we're officially back in action. We have our pie crust cooling over here. So we took it out at about 8.5 minutes. We have to let that cool completely. So we just have it on a wire rack cooling completely. And then we bumped up our oven temperature to 425. Now we're gonna be preparing the filling of the cheesecake. Our first step is to beat the cream cheese. So we have 4 cups of full fat cream cheese that we are going to unwrap and start beating. If you have a mixer, the only advice that I could give if you have a mixer, do not over whip, or else you're gonna have too many air bubbles, and that is how you crack the cheesecake. So we're gonna use this metal whisk and this scraper, and we're gonna see if we can do it. Let's start unwrapping. Okay, so we're kind of learning as we go. We have our 4 cups of cream cheese in here, and oh wow, it's a lot. But we are going to try whipping it ourselves. I tried using the whisk. It was not a good start. So we're gonna use a wooden spoon, something with a little bit more rigidity. We're gonna mix the crap out of it and then add some more ingredients as we go. We may need a bigger boat. This ain't easy. All right, we're gonna say that that's about whipped up for now. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna add our sugar. That's what it calls for next. We're gonna mix. Okay, the next step is going to be to add our supposed cornstarch or our tapioca flour. If you got gloves, put on gloves, not rubber gloves like baseball gloves or like golf gloves to prevent blisters. Next is eggs, one by one. I just can't whip it right now. But once we get enough eggs in there to where it's whippable, I'll make a return. I see why they call for a mixer. We're almost whiskable, I would say. If you're gonna do this, skip the gym that day. I might change the title to using unqualified equipment to make the perfect cheesecake. This one just calls for a yolk. Someone just knocked on my door. No, it's not the time. What's going on?
Sorry.
560. Is there an apartment number?
No, parcel number.
Oh, yeah.
Entrega Sabrina.
This is 560, but not me.
No.
It's it could be anyone here. This building is 560.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, no unit.
Is there a unit? Can you call them?
Oh, como
Is it Uber?
Uber. 203.
Apartment 203. So
Thank you, man.
yeah, no problem.
You're welcome.
Just took care of that. Where was I? I just answered the door to an Uber driver. I'm freaking sweating. I got a microphone on. I got a ring light over here. This guy's probably like, what the hell's going on? I don't speak Spanish. He doesn't speak English. But we solved it. We solved it. So back to the cheesecake. Wow. I don't know. I got to thank that Uber driver. He just gave me a second life here. I'll be honest. When I first started mixing that cream cheese, I was thinking there's no way that I could do this with my hands. But patience. Once you start adding the eggs, it'll come together. This is after all 4.5 eggs are in, or 4 eggs and 1 yolk. We still have the heavy cream, the vanilla extract, the lemon zest. So we're still gonna be liquefying this a little bit more, so it should only get easier and easier. I could not be more excited. We need 1/2 cup of heavy cream. Oh, and for the heavy cream, I use heavy cream, but my friend Colton, shout out Colton, he told me to use sour cream. That is the secret recipe of cheesecake. Let me know in the comment section down below whether you use heavy cream, sour cream, or none of the above, and let me know what you use. But he told me that that is the secret to a great cheesecake, and I just don't know. So let me know. This is looking good. We're doing this. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Here we go. Now we need 1 teaspoon of a zested lemon. I bought this zester today. We're gonna zest it, make sure that it's 1 teaspoon, and then we're gonna put that in a mix. That's the last step for the batter. Okay, we have our lemon completely zested, 1 teaspoon. Now it's time to pour in our mixture with our fully cooled crust. Now would actually be a great time to describe a water bath for what we're about to do. So what we are going to do is put a cooking pan into the oven that's big enough to hold your cheesecake. Then we are going to boil some water, enough water to probably go about a 1/2 inch into the pan without it overflowing. We're going to tin foil the edge here so that it's watertight. The springform pan, it should be watertight, but you don't want any water to get into the cheesecake or else all of your hard work is literally going to be for nothing. So we're going to start to formulate that. Okay, now let's also boil some water. So this is the pan. We're going to put this in now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. We need to pour our cheesecake batter into our mold and pray that everything goes smoothly. Here we go. All right, that's about as full can get. We have a nice jiggle prior to going in. Now we have to go in. Our water's starting to boil. We are going to try and do this in as smooth of a fashion as possible. First step is going to be turn off our boiling water, open our oven, pull out our tray, take our cheesecake and put it in the oven. Next, we are going to pour our water gently. Now, all of your hard work comes down to this. We leave it in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes at 425. Once the timer goes off, we lower the temperature to 225 for a remaining 60 minutes. Once the 60-minute timer goes off, you turn the oven completely off, crack the door let it sit in there for another 60 minutes or so until it comes to complete room temperature. Then you take the cheesecake out and put it in the fridge overnight for about 12 hours, and then you're ready to eat it for breakfast the next morning. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. All right, here we are. It's 9 p.m. We have our cheesecake. We're gonna check back in tomorrow and go from there. See you tomorrow. All right, we have our cake of cheese. Looks great. There's no wobble. I think that means that it's set. I did mess up because I didn't put any parchment paper underneath the cheesecake, so I'm afraid that it may stick to the bottom. We'll address that when we get there. Okay, this looks fantastic. Now let's dive into it, cut it, and see how it tastes. Okay, let's get right into it. I think I found center. Maybe it's not cooked all the way through, but that might be my specialty. It looks really good. Now it's time to try it. All right, so we have our slice here. It looks extremely creamy. It looks really good. I'm gonna try and put some pictures that I took up on the screen. Okay, now it's time to dig in. Whoa, I need another bite. One more bite. Okay, I gotta be honest. This is very good. You can even taste the lemon zest in there, which is pretty impressive since the recipe didn't call for that much. I definitely didn't cook it all the way through. I think that's why it's so creamy, but I kind of like how creamy it is. My mouth's kind of watering just talking right now. The recipe called for 60 minutes, I guess. Let me know what I could have done differently to test to see if a cheesecake is fully cooked through. This was my first cheesecake. I think it went pretty well. I'm gonna bring it in for my coworkers. My girlfriend's gonna have some. That way, I don't blow up like a balloon. With that being said, it's time to wrap up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around to the end of the video. I really appreciate you guys watching the entire video all the way through. We just crossed 200 subscribers and I am very excited. I hope to get to 500 soon and eventually 1,000. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe. That way you know when I'm posting. If you forgot, I'm posting videos every single Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me know what I should make next in the comments. Let's get to 1,000. See you guys next Sunday. Peace.